Hello everybody and welcome to the very 53rd episode of Cool Down Timer. My name is Nifu and with me today I am joined by Zingles, Artman.
Man, you talking funny.
And from the freezing wastelands of Alaska, Mark Hamilton. That's right, everybody. Happy Halloween. Whoa, I'm a scary ghost.
I don't believe in Halloween. I only believe in science.
My old man don't believe in otters.
Buddy otter.
I am so excited for Halloween. I mean, it's you know what, Thursday for us right now, but I'm really excited for Halloween because we have decked out our whole garage, and I've finally, like, growing up, I'd always liked going into the grocery stores when they'd have like all the soda boxes, you know, set up into like a display that you could walk into or whatever. And
walk into? What stores did you go to?
The Fred Meyer at Bethel Station.
Man, they're going above and beyond.
I was just playing one the other day, and I was just thinking about that. I'm like, man, who does stupid pixel art with freaking boxes?
No, I hate the pixel art ones are stupid, but the ones you can walk into, those always made me so happy growing up. And I finally got to, like, do that myself. I've got, like, we bought, like, 50 friggin' moving boxes, which is sad that we had to do that in order to make this work because we had just sent home, like, at least 40 of them with my mother-in-law when she was here last. But, you know, what you do for the art. And so
Sorry,
we have it
that was
set.
The best joke of the evening.
So we have it set up so that it kind of, there are these walls made with the moving boxes, and they're like covered with like black plastic tablecloths, so that in the dark of the night it's gonna be super creepy.
In the dark of the night, evil will find her.
And I don't know, we have it set up so that it's gonna be a nice little scare for whoever's, you know, willing to risk it for the extra candy.
What if nobody does?
I'm sorry, but jump scares are just stupid. It's not real horror. Speaking of jump scares, there's a new Five Nights at Freddy coming out.
No,
hold on, Mark.
That's wrong in so many ways, Sam.
I don't know. I don't care about Five
No,
Nights.
Actually, it is kind of right. Did you want me to hold on? Is that what I was hearing?
Well, we'll say what you were saying and then we'll move on.
It was about the next subject.
That you were.
I want to seg.
Go ahead.
I never get to seg. You guys always have your way with the segs, but I'm never allowed to seg, so I segged, damn it.
I got a message the other day saying that somebody was missing out on my segues.
Who? Why? I don't understand.
A fan.
They love me. A fan.
Who uses fans in winter? Ba-dum-bum.
I do.
You're
in
gonna
my
go full
creepy
Ed Win
horror
tonight, aren't you?
garage.
And I'm going to be winning the whole time.
I am actually using a fan in my garage in order to try to enhance the ambiance and make it feel like a creepy, like,
yes,
cult
enhance the ambience with the sound of whirr.
Oh, sounds like we're in a spooky warehouse.
Well, I have a soundtrack, a ambiance soundtrack that's going to be louder than the fan.
Good. Okay, Five Nights at Freddy. It's Halloween. We got to talk about scary
boring
games.
Yawn.
And I've got a doozy scary story to tell you guys.
Watch out for that first step.
It's a doozy.
I totally cut you off too, didn't I?
What? Right. Anyway, longtime listeners will
This
recall.
just turned into a slasher. He cut him off.
Longtime listeners will recall that we had an episode a long while back.
So nobody will remember.
We have nobody.
That this is a callback. It gets people to go through the archives, you idiots. Where I talked about how Five Nights at Freddy's terrifies me on many levels. And as such, I still have not played the games, but I enjoy watching them from afar and picking apart the lore. It is deep and lovely.
Or it's just flexible enough for people to make their own ideas of the lore itself.
I know, but that's what's so great about media that lets you conspiracy theorize. It is mysterious.
It is. No, that is true. I'm goofing around, but that is very true.
We spent a whole 45 minutes doing that with Pokemon.
Exactly. And
I've spent 45 minutes doing everything besides a couple things with Pokemon.
and it's like a magician, you know.
I like
if you knew
Pokemon.
how it all worked, it'd be boring. But if you see just enough,
mainly because the gameplay of Five Nights at Freddy is really, really bad.
I don't know if I'd call it bad. Because
Okay,
the game is a
the
bestseller.
gameplay in Five Nights.
It's missing out the best part of Chuck E. Cheese.
Okay, the
Pizza?
gameplay in Five Nights at Freddy's does not interest me in any way. Does not look fun to me at all.
Oh, that's true. And same for me, because I would be terrified the whole time.
It's not even about being terrified for me. It's just, I'm not one of those people that goes out looking to be scared, but the gameplay just does not look appealing to me at all. It looks really boring.
It is basically
I don't get it. What is the gameplay?
It's a nitpicky management game, you know.
The only thing that I know is you look at different cameras that freeze dudes that move,
All right.
and you have a limited amount of power that can close
That was
doors.
the first game. There are 4 games. Each game kind of mixes up the formula, but it all comes down to the same basic things. You have to check things for patterns that then, once you see the pattern, you got to do the right thing. That's basically what it is. Oh, the animatronics in this hallway. I better close the door for 5 seconds. Or, oh, I heard a spooky sound. I better flash a flashlight onto the bed in the most recent game. Or...
The most recent one, actually, it looks interesting. I mean, not interesting. It looks better than the other ones.
they're all different, you know. And what's really
Yeah.
interesting is the story and uncovering bits of it. And I suppose I could spend the whole podcast monologuing about all the different details since you guys don't know them all. But
Actually, I've watched
yeah,
all of the gameplay
because of
stuff
Matt
too. I'm
Pat.
just
Matt
being
Pat's
difficult.
making a mint
Yeah.
off this.
He really is.
It's a combination met in heaven. Success for everyone. But I'm here to talk about something different because people like Matt Pat from Game Theory and other people all over the internet love to speculate about what's really going on in the games. What's the chronology? Who's the purple guy? You know, what really happened in
There's
any
a purple
particular
guy?
game.
Yes.
The purple guy
Wait,
is
have
a
you not
murderer.
watched? Have you
No,
not
I
watched the
haven't.
Matt? Oh,
You should. They're really
They're good.
interesting. But
he
essentially,
makes good stuff, unlike us.
the identity of the purple guy is one of the big mysteries of the game, and the purple guy is someone who has murdered a lot of kids and led to ghost-filled animatronics. And he's actually the antagonist in Five Nights at Freddy's 3 because he got trapped in a suit and then forgotten for like 40 years.
It's
and then
really.
they dug him up.
I'm really surprised you haven't watched. It is really interesting lore.
Yeah, you should watch the game.
I watch all of those because they're interesting.
Now, you know, we've
I'm just
learned
being-
a lot of stuff over the series. For example, that there is a serial killer that we can call the Purple Man. We've learned that how many ghosts there are roughly. We even pretty much know where Golden Freddy, one of the biggest mysteries of the first game, came from now. But there's still so many pieces that are mysterious or could go either way, or we just don't know. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's 4 was different than the first two
Freddying.
games. The Freddy. I think that that might already be a Nightmare at 12th Street. On
Really? Elm Street, you mean?
Elm Street, there we go.
I think you're mixing a couple horror tropes there.
I am. I think I mixed up Nightmare on Elm Street and Miracle
On 34th or whatever.
31st.
Or were you doing Friday the 13th and
Yeah, with a little Friday the 13th thrown in there. Anyway,
we know our horror.
yep, we're good at the scares.
We are spooky. Ah! We
That was
are
frightening.
spooky people.
Anyway,
Like the
it's the fourth
spookiness.
game is different than the others in that you are not actually in like a Chuck E. Cheese like place facing animatronics. You're actually a kid who, for all apparent, as far as you can tell, he is facing kind of imaginary animatronics that are much, much more horrifying than any animatronic anyone would actually make, probably because they're just in his head, you know. They've been given names like Nightmare Freddy, Nightmare Chica, because they look very scary. And you're basically a kid in his room at night trying to make it through the night without one of these nightmare animatronics getting him.
That's more terrifying.
Yeah. And you can actually move around a little bit. You can look in the hallways, in the closet, and on the bed. And you have a flashlight.
Yeah, like I said, it looks way more interesting than the other ones.
But here's the thing.
In my humble opinion.
The games are called Five Nights at Freddy's, but it's always been the case that once you do the 5 nights, you can also do a bonus 6th night. You know. And some of the games
kids that really want to die.
And some of the, I can't remember if all the games or just some of the games have a 7th night, which is usually a custom night where you can set the difficulty of the animatronics, so it's kind of like challenge yourself, you know?
Do all the knights sit around a round table?
Presumably, yes. A haunted one. But...
Welcome, spooky knights of the round table. Today we will scare people.
In Five Nights at Freddy's 4, the 7th night is not a custom night. It's just called Nightmare. And you face, I think it's just one animatronic called Nightmare Fredbear, who's really, really, really tough. And it's a really hard night to beat. But if you do, you can get a screen that has a chest on it, like a locker, a foot locker kind of, that has 2 padlocks on it. And you can click on the padlocks, and they kind of just jingle around, but no one has been able to open it. There doesn't appear to be anything you can do to open the chest. And after a few seconds of jingling the locks, a message comes up that says, "Oh well, some things are better left forgotten for now."
Oh, jeez.
For now.
And then it goes to the title screen. So people have been like, "What's up with the chest? How do I open the box? What's in the box? I need to know."
A little bit of Pulp Fiction in your Five Nights at Freddy's.
And here's where it's especially relevant is there's an update coming out on Halloween.
Oh, gosh.
Today, the day that this podcast is coming out, there's an update coming out. Now, people have assumed that this update will let you open the box. Because why not, right?
Yeah, especially for an update on Halloween.
Yes. In fact, the game was originally supposed to come out on Halloween, but Scott Cawthon...
But he can't wait!
He can never wait. He always releases his games early.
Oh, gosh.
It's like,
I can understand that as an artist, though.
It's
Just
like
I want to show people.
He reaches a point where it's like, oh, I guess it's done. You know? All right, you guys can have it.
I've heard he's a really great guy.
He is.
Real life.
From what I've heard, he is a really great guy, and he's got a pretty inspiring story. I mean,
yeah.
When the first game went big, he was working at Dollar Tree for minimum wage.
Wow, these games are cheap.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they're
$4.
Well, you gotta admit,
all of them but the first one.
They're not exactly The Witcher 3.
No, it is true.
But unlike a lot of people who think that they've made like the best thing ever, I think he's pretty humble about what he's made. From what from what I've heard.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy from what I hear.
And the new one actually looks kind of nice.
It does. He's definitely been upping the production values now that he can work full time because he has money.
I mean,
oh my gosh, this looks terrifying.
It is frightening. Anyway, the chest, right? People have been expecting the update will open the chest, but Scott Cawthon personally released a message on the Steam forums where he said the update's going to add some mini-game stuff and it's going to add some custom modes and little things like that. But he said one thing it's not going to do, it is not going to open the chest. And then he said, when the first game came out, I was really surprised when everyone found all of the hidden lore stuff. And the same thing with the second and the third games. Just everybody pounced on it, picked it apart. He specifically mentioned MatPat, I think.
Well, one of them is like one of the lore things was like you had to put in a combination on bricks on a wall or something like that.
Something that
like,
doesn't look like it's interactive. You have to put a code into.
Yeah. The internet though will solve anything.
And he said, I just was amazed. And I was even more amazed when I put out Five Nights at Freddy 4 and nobody found the stuff I hid in it.
Oh my.
And he said, I am honestly shocked about this. And that's what's in the box. All of the pieces put together into one whole. And it can only be opened when someone discovers the secret.
Oh, hey, that even gets me excited about it a little bit.
Right. But then he says, however, nobody found any of the stuff. And maybe they never will. And maybe that's the best ending. Thinking about how all this has gone down. Maybe some things are best left forgotten forever.
Oh, jeez.
And that was the last line of his message.
Huh. That's interesting.
I know. Right.
Okay. I'll probably never
Yeah.
play the game, but,
No,
No,
yeah,
be
you
like
should,
us. Watch from afar.
yeah, you should at least watch from afar because the game, like I said, the gameplay, it's not something you're going to enjoy. It's not something I would enjoy, but there is some really interesting lore in it.
Yeah, all the really interesting.
You can tell he puts a lot of love into the game.
Yeah. And all the really interesting bits.
Scary love.
The best kind.
Ooh,
Halloween love.
tainted love.
Where are you going with this?
Bow, bow.
How are we segging?
Tainted love.
Did you just want to sing that song?
Maybe.
Why are you
like that
hosting? No, I'm just kidding.
You know what's also really great is a while back Scott Cawthon put a thing on an open letter on the internet basically to his haters, because there's a lot of people that hate on Five Nights at Freddy.
There's a lot of people that hate anything that became popular.
Yeah, and also, like you said, the
them
gameplay
hipsters.
is not for everyone.
Yeah.
And some people can justifiably just call it a jump scare generator, you know?
Yeah. Well, it kind of is.
Yeah. But, you know, a lot of people have been hating on it, and I remember he put out this letter where he basically said, like, you know, for some reason when you succeed, people hate it. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with how this game came out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I bet. Well, and I think another chunk of that is, you know, some of the YouTubers doing the jump scare things. Like, I mean, we
dabbled.
It's a thing. It's a thing that happens, and if you don't like a YouTuber and they're doing that, then people get pissy. I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
People will find anything to complain about.
But really, Five Nights at Freddy came out at the perfect time. At any other, if it had come out 5 years ago, it would have been nothing, you know.
Yeah,
But
and
it
it would have been a
came
much
out-
longer game because 5 years at. Anyway, sorry. Keep
Yeah.
there's
It was
there's
the
humor
perfect
somewhere.
time to be in symbiosis with the rise of the streamers and Let's Players on YouTube.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's how these things work, right? You got to find that sweet spot, that perfect thing.
well, he's been making games practically his whole life, and
Yeah.
some of them are really good games, and none of them took off and had any success until Five Nights at Freddy.
Right.
And that's just the way things work out. you
We
know?
need our Five Nights at Freddy's.
That
He made a
game's been
game called The Desolate Hope that is a kind of a critical darling. It's supposed to be really great, but like maybe only 2 critics saw it when it came out. And they weren't big names.
Yeah.
They were bloggers, I think.
Let's move away from Five Nights at Freddy's. As much as this has been a great conversation, I'd like to talk about the other things.
Yeah, you had a thing to talk about.
Did I? What did I have to talk about?
The Evil Dead, right?
Oh, start watching that. It's awful.
Classic. It is a terrible movie.
It's awful in a very charming way. No, I was watching it though, and I'm like, man, some of this makeup is just atrocious.
Well, it was basically a student film, right?
Oh, was it? I really don't know anything about it except
Sam Raimi, the guy who made the Spider-Man movies, and other things, that was like his first big film he made.
Oh wow!
As a like, I think he might have still been a film student, or maybe he was just out of film school. But it is very low budget.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, I don't know much about makeup, and I can legitimately do better prosthetics than some of the stuff they were wearing in there. A lot of it looks like it might have even been reused. It's not sized appropriately.
The Evil Dead is one of the few horror movies I've actually seen, and that's mostly because I
it's
saw...
not a horror movie.
Well, it is, you know. It's scary stuff happens to it. Cabin in the woods, monsters, people getting killed.
It's in the comedy section on Xfinity.
It's real. I don't think The Evil Dead should be. The Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, those are comedies.
Oh, yeah.
But
Well,
I think
it kind of goes into self-parody, doesn't it?
pretty much. But
Yeah.
The Evil Dead, I think, is a horror movie that's got some funny parts, but it's a horror movie.
The only thing that so far that's been remotely creepy was their little "We're Gonna Get You" song. That's pretty good, actually.
Really?
I thought so.
I think different people find different things creepy. I found a lot of things in the movie creepy. I wouldn't watch it again, not because I think it's too scary, but because it is kind of lame.
Yeah.
And I
Well-
just watched it because I watched Army of Darkness, and I'm like, I got to see where this starts.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing too. I have been. This is the first time in my life, things gonna get real, people, where I've not had like really bad depression issues. And
The real button.
yeah, so and like for as long as I can remember, I mean, longtime fans of the show will remember that when we did the Amnesia Dark Descent playthrough, it got me so depressed that I couldn't play it anymore. About what 75% of the way through, so anyway, so I've never been able to do horror, and it's been like as far as like movies go, I watch things that are kind of lighthearted or dumb, just things that don't affect me emotionally at all, and it's all I can really handle. So I get through I'm getting through this depression, and all of a sudden I'm going, oh, I'm not like turned off by all of these other movies and stuff. And then suddenly I'm going, why do I want to watch horror movies? And then all of a sudden I'm doing like horror movie marathons at home, and which is nice because when you can walk away and it's not affecting you in the same way that it used to, it's actually it's nice.
Yeah,
but yeah,
real nice.
So that's what I've been doing, and I really don't even know where to start because again, I've really, it's never been something that I've been interested in or been able to watch.
Ask your brother-in-law.
Well, yeah, but he likes slasher stuff. And I did watch the first couple Saw movies until they started getting into okay, so I always thought that the Saw movies were like torture porn, is super over the top gore and stuff. It doesn't interest me. And I'd always heard that the first one wasn't. I watched it. It's not at all. It's actually a pretty great movie, I thought. And then and 2 wasn't as good, but it also wasn't like torture porny. By 3, it gets into what I had expected it was, and I stopped watching.
Well, I mean, his interests in horror do expand beyond
That's true.
Torture porny stuff. He was a fan of the Babadook.
Oh,
Segged us.
you segged, sir. Well segged.
All right, what is this Babadook Shavababoop, and how is he going to keep me from sleeping tonight?
I don't know. Do you think he would hit that sweet spot for Mark of, the...
I'm easily frightened by ideas.
You should watch the trailer for it because I didn't find the movie scary at all. I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was scary at all. I showed the trailer to my wife, and she couldn't make it through it. I think it's just one of those things where, for some people, it can be, it's
well,
those
the trailer's no good for me. I need a synopsis of the film. I need to know what happens from front to back, and then I'm okay.
It's basically though. I mean, it's I don't know.
You don't have to give me that, but tell me.
So you know how most horror movies have their initiating thing where somebody touches or reads or does something that initiates it.
There's got to be a reason for something bad to happen. Otherwise, it's like bad stuff just happens, and that's not satisfying.
That's like real life. We don't care about that.
She reads a kid's book to her son.
And then one of my favorite...
Wait. Was it a kind of old and mysterious-looking kid's book found at a bookshop where the owner acted mysterious when she bought it?
Not at all, actually. It looked brand new, but it looks handmade, and they just find it on their shelf.
I'm frightened already.
And he looks like a
oh my gosh,
chimney sweep.
Monster in that movie is one of my favorite monsters I've seen in a long time.
Before you describe it further, I want you to know that when you said he looks like, in my head, I was thinking killer clown, a killer stuffed animal, killer thing, terrifying monster. And then you said chimney sweep, and I'm like, oh, that was the least frightening thing I could have imagined.
Well, here's the thing, though. The only thing that you see of it for 99% of the movie is this silhouette of a man with a top hat and this huge cloak and these arms with these long pointy fingers.
The arms are the creepy part. And he looks like a scarecrow. They never show him like really move. He always just kind of like floats. Or drifts, and his face is almost always in shadow. And there is a couple really pretty creepy visuals, like the thing with the black slime moving across the ceiling.
Yeah.
There's some... Okay, that rests my heart a bit, because those things sound creepy and like they'd be frightening to watch, but they don't hit any of my particular horror buttons.
Okay,
Mark. He looked like a marionette.
Oh, that's a bit buttony. It's a bit buttony right there.
But I enjoyed the movie. I think I enjoyed it more than you did, Nifu.
Yeah,
But floating actually is not frightening to me.
It's
out of unnatural ways to move.
I liked the idea. I didn't like the execution. There was some stuff that they did with the non-part of it, the non-Babadooky part of it that like... It was just
Babadook.
But I think my favorite part of it is like when she's reading one of my favorite parts, I guess, is when she's reading the book and she's just like, the kid's like a terrified little kid and she's just sitting there reading this book that he chose because, you know, it's like I told him to choose and now I'm committed to reading this book to him, but I've never seen it before and this is terrifying.
Yeah, because it like at first she's thinking, okay, this is some kind of like, you know, Dr. Seuss kind of style thing,
Yeah.
you know? You can't get rid of the Babadook, like that kind of thing, you know? But then it gets weird, and then at the very end she starts getting legitimately creeped out by it, and so she stops reading it to him, but they show her like reading through the book. It was just, I like that. So yeah, then she, you know,
Babadook.
Okay, no, that's not frightening at all. Probably because it's you saying it.
I know, right?
No, this is funny. I was like, that part, I was like, it was the perfect amount of creepiness where I was like, ooh, that was creepy.
I know,
like
right?
that.
I like
it. And then I told Jackie about it, and she had the same reaction. She's like, that's not scary at all.
The way they did it was really good. Like, she gets one of those, like, you know, who is it phone calls, and then that's just like all that's said.
There's no answer. Who is it? They're not saying anything.
So finally I go over and I open up the door, and just as
it's the Babadook. No, I think I'm wired differently than you two.
If you're wired differently, you're wired wrong, sir.
Possibly, but frightening things kind of just get in my head and they bother me, and I don't like it, so I don't watch frightening things. Like like right now, you just describing the vague stuff about this, my back feels all tingly, and I feel the need to keep turning around and looking at the blank wall behind me in case something has changed, and I don't like that.
I believe that is how my wife is as well. Things get to her a little bit more.
Probably.
And I think I used to be like that at one point too, but now I'm getting to this point where I never understood liking being scared, and I still don't, but there's this point of creepiness where it's just like, oh, that's creepy, and then like that is actually enjoyable. It's not being scared so much that's enjoyable. It's that going like, oh, freaky.
My brain is my own worst enemy. Can I take a moment to share a personal anecdote?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have a joke. Go ahead.
Okay. So with frightening things, like I said, they kind of get in my head, and some part of me will be like, you know, look behind you, because wouldn't it be scary if there was something there?
Yeah.
You know, and I know there's nothing there, but then I kind of have to look, you know? And I just imagine how scary it would be if there was something there. And I've just kind of lived with this. I know this is about myself. I can't leave well enough alone in my brain. A while back, my wife and I were dog sitting for our in-laws, spending the night watching this dog. And
as you do,
I had gotten myself worked up and frightened over something. Who knows what it was? Might have been Five Nights at Freddy. I don't know. But I was jumping at shadows, and I was just trying to keep it under control and be a normal person, you know. And
Jumping at Shadows is my punk rock band.
Everything's fine. Everything's okay. But it was a dark night, and it was dark in the apartment, and I was getting a little creeped out, and the dog's in her little kennel spot. And she doesn't really like being in there super much, but she hangs out in there. And I'm like, all right, well, it's time to take the dog out to use the bathroom in the dark outside before going to bed. Okay. All right, come here, dog. And she won't come out. And this is weird. She never stays in there willingly, right? And my heart starts pumping. And a part of my brain thinks, the dog won't come out because the dog knows there's something in the apartment. And I push that aside, and I'm like, come on, get out. And she starts whining and going, "Ooh, ooh, 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 ooh." And my brain's like, oh, wow, maybe there's something in the apartment. I mean, that's normally just creepy voice's job, but now more reasonable voice is becoming frightened. Maybe creepy this time. And I'm like, keep it together, Mark. Come out. And she's just yipping and whining and yipping. And my wife is like, oh, come on, dog, and gets down. And she reaches back there, and the dog goes, row, row, row. And at this point, I'm perfectly still outside, but inside I have lost it. I'm like, oh my, this is actually happening. All my life I've been jumping at shadows, and now something really is out there.
Now the shadows are jumping back.
My adrenaline was pumping. I was holding a little plastic, little retractable leash, and I found myself clutching it and thinking how I could use it as a weapon. Yes. And it's just like, ah. And then my wife yanks her arm out, and she's got a little chew toy bully stick. And she's like, and I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, she didn't want to give up her treat.
Well, okay, so I got a story that was creepy. And Nifu, you were here for this. Remember that time we were at your then girlfriend's apartment, and we had the woman, like, there was, okay, so we're in the apartment, hanging out, having drinks, having a good old time.
Just playing
and
some
all of a sudden,
Little Big Planet 2.
And all of a sudden, someone starts pounding on the door. And we're like, that's a very aggressive amount of pounding. And so we ignore it. We're like, this person, they, you know, probably have the wrong place or whatever. They'll go away. Sure enough, they go away. We get back to what we're doing. Then they start pounding on the windows, meaning that they had to go out of the building and walk all the way around the apartment to find the windows. And at this point, I'm going, all right, I don't like this anymore. And I found myself itching closer and closer to the kitchen where the steak knives were. And the fact, by the end of the ordeal, I had one in my hand and I was ready to kill whoever came through the door. My wife was in there, and I was not going to let this person do things.
Well, and then we found out, like, what, 4 minutes into the whole thing, that the front door was actually unlocked, and if the lady had just pushed a little bit harder, it would have popped open.
Yeah, and she was pounding on the door, and then she tried to open it, and then she was pounding on all the windows and trying to open the windows, and she was there for probably what, 15-20 minutes before she finally left.
Yeah.
Who was this woman?
We have no idea.
No clue.
Babagoosh.
I don't remember. Did your wife call the police? I can't remember.
Yes, but they said they'd do a drive-by, but there wasn't really much they could do at that point because, I mean, she was gone by that point. We none of us thought to call them earlier. You know, we were just too terrified.
No, you know, but that was that moment where my fight or flight, you know, kicked in and I was ready to kill.
Well, I gotta tell you, it was my dog freaking out. I was ready to fight because I had no confidence I could escape a monster.
My mind tricked me into accepting that I was gonna die today.
Really?
Somebody
Just in
launched...
general, or was there a train barreling down on you?
I think somebody just launched a firework somewhere nearby, but all of a sudden I hear the... I was like, well, I guess this is it. Goodbye, cruel world.
Goodbye, cruel world.
Oh, we're just a trio of neurotics, aren't we?
No, dude. Okay, so my favorite, I don't know, the horror stuff that gets to me the most is the stuff that sticks stuff in the dark. Because, like, when I was younger, I would, you know, usually, like, get a glass of water or something before bed, but the kitchen was on the opposite side of the house from my bedroom.
Babagoosh.
And just...
This is Babagoosh. It's not even...
No, it's the mythos is evolving, Zane.
It's the hullabaloo.
Babadoosh evolved into Hullabaloosh.
So you had to go all the way across the house, huh?
Yeah,
That
and just
Babadook
I would
is causing
imagine
quite a hubbalooshka.
I would just imagine things creeping and crawling under the floor and they were gonna grab me. The worst was having my... That's why I hate having the windows open when it's dark outside still. This is rooted in a childhood fear that something
Everything is rooted in a childhood fear.
I hate having the lights on bright in the house with the windows open when it's dark outside. And I just remembered all of a sudden that when I was a kid, I hated that because I was afraid that something was gonna jump out and scare me at my window.
Oh, yeah.
No,
That'd be frightening.
that would be frightening.
But
You know, all three of us are people with very active imaginations.
Yeah,
and
that's a problem.
In general, I think it's a really good thing. I love having an active imagination. It lets me, you know, do the things I love, play Fate, get really into like role-playing games and stuff like that. Those are all things I really like doing. But it definitely does play tricks with you, you know, and just it's just as far as like, and none of us have ever been, you know, scary movie people or anything like that because our minds are our worst enemies.
one time, I had just recently washed dishes or something, and there were a couple knives sticking blade up, and I walked over to them, and without my, you know, active thought or whatever, I just imagined myself smashing my face into them.
That would be a really bad day.
Babadoosh.
Baba Kanoosh.
No, I know what you're talking about. Many times when I was a kid, I'd be on the freeway in the back seat going like 70, and I just think to myself, I could just open the door and I'd fall out and die horrifically. That's a thing that could happen. Enjoy thinking about that. Sign your imagination.
No, there was I totally get that. Like if there is any possible worst case scenario for a situation I'm involved in, my mind will play it through like 8 different times, 8 different ways that all involve either me getting brutally injured, somebody else getting brutally injured, me having to take care of it, or me brutally murdering, injuring somebody else, and getting arrested and thrown in prison for the rest of my life.
You know,
Because of an accident.
I think a big part of that is because it makes a better story if something bad happens.
It's true.
I know, like, whenever I say goodbye to my wife, like in the morning before I go to work, I always say, like, I love you, or see you later, my love, or something like that. Because if I don't,
it's the
it'll
last
bug
word
me
you
and I'll
ever
think,
said.
Yeah, that's what I'll think. It's like, oh, what if that's the last thing I say to her? Oh, she's gonna die today. Because that'd make an interesting story.
Yeah.
That is a really interesting way of looking at it. And I think you're right. Off subject, I scared the crap out of my wife the other day on accident by looking out the window. We were talking, and then I just I saw my reflection move is what I saw. And so I look up at the window and I just have like this really like blank look on my face, because then I'm thinking, she's gonna think I'm looking at something, because I'm a terrible person. And so it's just for a second, and then I like look back down, I smile, and I keep listening to her, and she goes, "What were you looking at? What were you looking at?" And then I'm like, nothing. And then I like flick my eyes back up there and back down.
Just Babadook.
I scared her more than I was meaning to. I thought, you know, that she'd get mad at me, think it was funny, whatever. She jumps up and runs over to me. She's like, "What are you looking at?" And she wouldn't turn around. I'm like, "Nothing, seriously, nothing. I was just playing with you." So, yeah. All you gotta do is look out a window and you'll terrify your wives, everybody.
I do have to say, I get frightened very easily. My mind bugs me and scares me. But I am fascinated by certain frightening things, which is why I know so much about Five Nights at Freddy, even though it scares me.
Isn't that an interesting piece of human, or of just humanity, that you get fascinated with things that are terrifying?
I think my wife says it's my personality. And I think I agree, because a lot of the other people I know that are like me also have morbid interests.
Well, I think that I don't think that that's that uncommon. Otherwise, horror movies and games and stuff wouldn't be such a popular thing. Because, like I said, it's more than just going, "Oh, I want to be scared." Being scared would be fun right now. You know, there's something fascinating about it.
Yeah. Now, there was a horror movie that came out recently that I hated when the trailers were going out for it everywhere on YouTube, because I looked at this and I said, "Oh, this is something made to frighten me specifically."
Annabelle?
No. I can't watch those trailers either. I'm not that interested in Annabelle because I know it's a haunted doll or something. There.
It's Chucky that looks like it takes itself a little bit more seriously.
Chucky. The Goosebumps books. But
want to play a game?
Besides before we get on a tangent, the movie fascinated me as well as frightening me, and it's It Follows.
That's the one about the sex, right?
You would focus on the sex part, please. But kinda. Basically, no, the idea is there's a monster, right? We don't need to know that much about the monster, except it has a rule. It picks someone and it follows them. It could look like anybody, but it just basically keeps walking towards that person, and it can't really be stopped or avoided.
So it's like that video about murdering someone with a spoon.
What?
Remember the spoon murder video where the guy just keeps beating this guy up with a spoon, but it's a spoon, so murdering him takes forever?
No, it's not like that at all. Listen, this monster, it doesn't talk, it doesn't scream, and it mostly just looks like ordinary people, but it just keeps walking towards you. Only the person it's marked out can see it, even though it just looks like an ordinary person.
That seems to be playing on some very primal fears.
Yeah, but it could be anybody or anything, and it will never stop trying to get you. It doesn't run typically. It just walks at a steady pace, you know, but it won't stop, and you can't stop it. The only way to stop it is to get rid of it by passing it on to someone else, in this case, by having sex with someone and then explaining the rules to them. Even if they don't believe you, it passes on to them. However, if they die before they can pass it on, it goes back to you. It goes back up the chain. And basically, this girl in the movie sleeps with this guy who's been passing it on multiple times, and each time whoever he passes on to dies, so he has to keep doing this. So he basically tricks her.
I have to keep having sex. It sucks.
Well, people keep dying because of him. That's got to weigh on someone, you know?
Yeah.
But it is... I haven't seen it. I just read synopsises of it. I watched the CinemaSins on it, actually.
What are you?
Wait, there's a CinemaSins for
Yeah,
it?
they've been doing horror movies all this month.
Chicken.
Yeah, I am chicken. Thank you. But
I'm making a reference to a movie I've never seen.
I might have. You haven't seen Back to the Future yet?
That's horrifying.
That's the scariest thing we've talked about all night.
And it's also beside the point.
Yeah, keep
going. It wasn't
going.
quite finished. That's basically sums it up. It will keep following you until it kills you, and you can't stop it.
Does it try to kill you?
Oh, yeah.
Does it like try to? How does it kill? Does it eat, fight, stab, bite, shoot?
Impale?
It's not super clear, but the very first part of the movie is showing this girl who dies from it, and she basically like gives up, even though we don't know what's going on yet, and just waits for it on a beach. And then we don't see what happens, except in the morning when they find her body, it has been like ripped apart. Her leg is like broken to the point where it could be behind her head. It's just looks like savagely beaten to death in a horrifying, painful way.
So it just drives you crazy until you stop trying to run from it. But it's really easy to run from.
It is fairly easy to run from if you don't get cornered, you know. If you stay on your toes.
What happens when the last person dies?
You see, that's the kind of thing it doesn't go into, because it's not really important. What's important is that it exists, and it's scary, and it's chasing the heroine. You know? And it's just great because they do some scenes that really are the kind of thing that creep me out, where the main characters, they're just like sitting in a park talking or something. They're having a conversation. You're focused on them. But in the background, a person is walking towards them from far away. They're closer, and the camera doesn't focus on them. It's just happening. Yes. And I find that kind of stuff sweet.
But again, this goes back to that fascinating creepiness, right? You know?
Yes.
How it's like, it's creepy. I'm kind of fascinated with it.
I know, right? Oh, it's just... I've always thought if I made any kind of horror movie, it would definitely involve scary things happening in the background that are not obvious, that are not accompanied by scary music or jump scares. They're the kind of thing where it's like, when you notice it, you're freaked out because it was there the whole time.
That's one thing that I liked about the Babadook movie was that it didn't rely on jump scares. I don't think there really was any.
I don't either.
That I can think of. And again, it wasn't really that scary, but it was unsettling at times.
Yeah, and okay, so that... The thing with horror movies that I think, I mean, honestly, is part of the genre that makes it most difficult for me to watch them ties in with what you were saying about how, you know, with the depression, it's harder to watch horror movies.
Yeah.
And it's just the, like, absolute hopelessness.
Yep.
That is tied in with horror movies.
And that was, oh, sorry, keep going.
Well, yeah, it's just like that's what gets under my skin the most.
Yeah.
Is like, all of these people just died. Their lives are meaningless to whatever it is that killed them. My life has no meaning. Where'd that knife go?
Aww.
Yeah,
Sad
I'm in a better place now where like that kind of stuff just isn't affecting me as much because my life is great right now.
You're
like,
in a
honestly.
better place, eh?
Yeah.
I was gonna make a joke that moving on.
I just gotta say one more thing. Years ago, I saw a YouTube video on a channel I don't think exists anymore, and I don't know who made it, but it terrified me, even though it was the stupidest thing, like literally the stupidest thing. But it gave me chills and
Are they multiplying?
Deeply frightened me. Okay, it's just this video. You know, it's like made with someone's camera. You know. Kind of like the videos we used to make back in the day when we were in high school, right? Some guys goofing around doing something. It had a stupid plot. I don't remember what the story was. It's like, oh, we got to go around and solve the problem. Oh, hi, guys. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. Something stupid, right? But in the last scene, they're like, ha, 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 ha. And then suddenly it freezes and it zooms in on a corner in the background, and there's a guy standing there with one of those stupid plastic horse masks. Those, like, you know, they cover your whole head.
Yeah.
And it just zooms in on him and goes, woo! Scary music, right? And then it goes to one of the previous scenes and zooms in on him where he was there in the previous scene the whole time. And it does that for every single shot in the thing, going back, zooming in on him with a little woo sound. And I don't know.
Funny.
It deeply frightened me. Even though it was just a dumb guy in a horse mask, the fact that he was there the whole time watching them.
I saw this YouTube video a while back. My brother-in-law actually showed it to me. That was really creepy and unsettling. It was this lady in bed, and she's just lying there, and she gets up and she's like, her husband or boyfriend or whatever sleeping next to her, and she kind of like pats him. She's like, oh, so and so get up or something. I can't remember if there was like a phone ringing or something, or there was some reason they needed to get up. And he doesn't like move, and then she kind of like, she eventually like lays back down in bed, and all of a sudden her like cell phone rings, and she answers it, and on the phone you just hear it's just like, oh, Susie or whatever. It's like, sorry, I'm not there. I just had to think about things, so I went out for a walk. And she realizes the person laying next to her isn't her husband, and the camera pans around. And so you can see the face of the person laying next to her, and it's just got this big freaky grin on its face and wide murder crazy eyes, and it's all pale and creepy looking. And I was like, that is legitimately unsettling.
That is pretty frightening.
And on that
and on that deeply unsettling note that has been there from the very beginning, we've come to the end of episode 53 of Cool Down Timer. My name is Nifu, Zingle's Artman, and Mark Hamilton.
That's not your names.
Wait, what did I say?
You said my name's Nifu, and then you said Zingle's Artman.
There was a period there, an unspoken period.
I didn't feel it. I think you're claiming our names in order to steal our essence.
Again, worst case scenario kind of stuff here.
And feed it to some kind of Baba whatever.
A Babadook.
If you enjoyed listening to us tonight, we have 50-ish other episodes, give or take the ones we never posted.
Of comedy and dramedy.
Available at cooldownttimer.com. The most recent ones are available at soundcloud.com, and we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/cooldownttimerpodcast.
Question of the week is, what's the spookiest movie for you?
I didn't know we were doing that again. Great.
Well, Zam is actually paying attention this week, so we get the question of the week.
And guys, if you're interested in seeing Zam and Nifu get really spooked by some spookables, you can check out the old Amnesia playthrough we did on YouTube.
And if
if enough people want us to do something like that, we will do another one. But people gotta really want it.
And if you're interested in learning more about zombies, was it this past week or the week before that you did the zombie article, Mark?
It was a week before. This past week I did an article on horror games.
Ah, that's what it was. So actually the last 2 weeks have been...
Yeah, because it's Halloween.
Yeah, okay then. Well, we got 2 Halloween-ish themed articles from Mark, and then tomorrow, it's Halloween's over tomorrow, so,
Yeah.
He's going to write about something boring, like strategy
Goodbye,
games.
everybody!
I tease because I care.
The scariest part
Goodbye.
of this episode is that now we have to end it. Goodbye.
Cool down timer, yeah.